And let's talk fantasy football now.
Let's talk fantasy football.
You were screaming last night in the sports office.
I was thoroughly upset.
Like, what are you doing? We're trying to get a show together. Fantasy football is why he's screaming.
Yeah, because I was going against Eli Manning, and he was looking like a world beater out there against my 49ers. So that's a whole other story. But we got the man to talk fantasy, the expert, in-house expert, Matt Benn. Come on in here, Matt Benn. You got your Zubas ready to go?
I feel so rad right now. Thank you guys for having me on.
I mean, don't you just feel different in these things?
You really do. You
I mean,
feel
the
like
Broncos logo right here?
Yeah.
I remember these back in the 80s.
Dude, you can tell these are fresh and new because I still got the tag.
Oh,
man.
tag. Team
Look at this.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Matt, thanks for getting us to Zubas, and let's talk fantasy now. I mean, my kid's quarterback is Peyton Manning. He's getting killed
mine was
week.
too yesterday, so that wasn't spectacular. I think Peyton came up with 6 points, which is bare minimum for a quarterback.
Right.
But again, Broncos defense stepping up. #1 in the league through 5 weeks and 23 points yesterday. Brandon McManus was our #2, and so that seems to be our theme, as you guys have talked about, defense and kicking.
McManus, I think he might be the top fantasy kicker in the game right now. He's up there with probably Steven Gostkowski of the Patriots, but McManus continues to get it done week in and week out. Obviously, as a Broncos fan out there, I'm sure you don't want field goals, you like touchdowns, but fantasy-wise, McManus is a surefire pick.
Well, it's funny. You watched the game yesterday. Janikowski, the guy that's been clutch for so many years, he's missing left and right. McManus hasn't missed yet. No. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Hey, if he misses, dude, we're coming after
you. None of the Broncos skill players are doing anything last week, at least. I mean, Demarius and Peyton before the season, you'd have said, if I can get Demarius, if I can get Peyton, and now all of a sudden it's like defense.
If you have Emmanuel on your team, you're sitting pretty. You're getting constant points. Demarius has a hit or miss, but I mean, Benny Fowler, I know I keep bringing him up because every week he shows up. I mean, this was his breakout game. He had a huge catch yesterday, so maybe we'll start seeing more of him, climb up the leaderboard.
He's getting better week to week.
All right, across the league, aside from the Broncos, a lot of big players yesterday.
Yeah, it was a big week for
Josh McCown in Cleveland.
QBs, guys you would never think of. I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles out of Jacksonville.
Only Doug got Blake Bortles. Anybody?
Exactly. Not many people do. I know Doug Martin, the running back, is the only guy in the midst of all his QBs.
He was going off yesterday, man. One of the few, actually.
Yeah. And the Bengals, I know you guys mentioned the Bengals earlier. I mean, they've had a performer in the top 5 for at least 3 or 4 consecutive weeks now. And it switches. It could be Andy Dalton, it could be Jeremy Hill, it could be A.J. Green. So if you got someone on the Bengals, most likely one of the weeks will be your week where you get all those points.
We see Josh McCown of the Browns next Sunday in Cleveland. What else can we look forward to next week? Any recommendations?
Josh McCown will not be seeing those types of
points.
I don't tells me not facing the #1 defense. So really, there's a couple sleepers in my mind. I love Blake Bortles. He's consistently putting up numbers, but you never think about him because he's on the Jaguars. But look at his points. Not a lot of people own him. Grab him if you need a quarterback. Jamal Charles went down, obviously. So someone's got to pick up the slack. They don't really have anyone that's been running other than Jamal Charles. So I believe Niall Davis, their #2 running back, should start getting some of those carriers. And that's just if you need somebody, all your guys are hurt. If you have Jamal Charles, maybe grab him.
And then the wide receiver from the Bears, too.
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey is still out with a hamstring injury. We'll see how that plays out through the week. But if he's not there, that's your guy.
All right, Matt.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Actually coming on.
The pizza and the fantasy.
The fantasy.
Stay rad.